Anyone can be a high performer if they're willing to endure the discomfort of accepting that where they are in their life is due to the way they think, the way they feel, and the way that they choose to build meaning into their experiences and how all that impacts their decisions they make moving forward. So in this video, I'm going to share 3 ways for anyone to become a high performer or to increase your performance, whether it be personally or professionally. To me, it's all the same because you are the catalyst to your experiences at home and at work and outside of either of those environments. It all depends on your psychology, which depends on your level of awareness. I've made previous videos about increasing your awareness. The paradox of increasing awareness creates a level of information overload, which creates a level of overwhelm. And then that overwhelm triggers stress. And with stress, we become blind to certain things. We get into autopilot. We narrow our focus onto self-preservation. And as we know, what we focus on expands. And so if we're living in autopilot, and we have stories running that are creating beliefs that this is the way life is, or these things always happen, or I am fill in the blank something negative, or I can't do whatever the thing is you want to do, then that's what we're going to find more evidence in our lives to prove ourselves right. That's below the line performance or low performance. It's a dysfunctional, discomforting, process of realizing and creating the things that you don't want. And it all starts with these 3 things. And the first thing is to develop a growth mindset. Essentially, this is a commitment to playing above the line, which is committed to being curious, committed to learning. It's being open to anything and everything and anyone and how you can learn from those experiences. So no matter how negative an experience may feel, no matter what setback you had, what failure, if someone died, if you had an injury, if you lost a job, you got broken up with, all of that, it's about what you can take away from that experience and move forward from the learnings, the wisdom of those emotions. What thoughts, beliefs, and feelings and actions can you shift from the things you learned? And the best way to do this is not take 6 months to 10 years down the line to look back at what we call hindsight to say, oh man, this thing that happened, it actually set me up where I am today. And I love where I am today. I enjoy the people, the places, the things, the experiences that I have in my life now. And if it wasn't for this thing, I may not have changed in this regard to be in where I am today, which I enjoy. So the best way we can hack hindsight in the moment, not take 10 years, we can take 10 seconds, we can take a day, is to ask, what skills, knowledge, and experiences will I gain from this moment that I didn't have yesterday that I can apply moving forward that will radically shift the way my trajectory of my life is going for the better? Essentially, what benefit is there from this pain and suffering that we're in? Because as we know, the universe is always seeking balance. So no matter how heavy we may feel, no matter how down we may feel, how sad, angry, upset, frustrated, grieving, there's always equal or more of the opposite to experience. Because when we're in a low charge, a heavy negative state, we're filtering out the other 50% of reality that's there, that exists. This is where perspective comes in. When we're in emotions, we're locked out of the other side of the duality of life. That's human nature. So the objective with a growth mindset and with asking, what's the benefit of this? What can I learn from this? How can I become better, smarter, faster, more experienced? Like, how can I have more impact in the world? It starts with being curious, with asking yourself, what are my weaknesses right now? What things am I committed to being right, playing below the line? When you can do this, you can radically shift how you experience life. It all starts with your mindset and being curious rather than being committed to being right. The tricky part of this is without awareness, we may not know that we're playing below the line, that we're committed to being right, because it feels good. It feels good to make excuses, to blame other people or things outside of us, because then we don't have to do anything. And we already know from other videos I've created, and I'll speak more on this as these videos continue, is that with change, regardless of the probability of achievement, with change, it's uncomfortable because the brain can't predict that which we haven't yet experienced. It may have an idea. You may think you have an idea, but maybe an expert or someone in your life that is experiencing that thing, they have proof of it. You have evidence of it visually, but you haven't yet embodied it. So that's the thing that we're fighting against, is our amygdala trying to scan what we're trying to do. And even though we can see it in our mind, we have yet to experience it. So it's unfamiliar territory, and it creates all these stress hormones that blocks us from doing the thing as a protection mechanism. But in today's world, a lot of these dangers or threats are in our mind. And so that's the first step, is to become aware. And without being curious, without having a growth mindset, our probability of increasing awareness is slim to none. So that's the first step, is develop a growth mindset, a curious mindset. And that leads us into the second way to become a high performer or increase your performance, is increasing your awareness. And we talked about this already in other videos. We on average have 11 trillion bits of information processed every second, but we're only aware of about 50 of those bits. That's a huge gap, meaning that's a huge opportunity to grow, to become better, to become more aware. The paradox is with more awareness comes overwhelm, and then comes stress, and then all the downstream effects of stress. So the objective here is to take ownership with a curious mindset. Okay, I'm overwhelmed right now. I'm anxious right now. I'm in a fearful state right now. I'm in a lack state right now. Okay, what can I learn from this? What is my environment telling me that I'm now feeling and experiencing my body that's trying to tell me something? What is off? What am I not doing? What could I be doing differently? So with awareness, we have to pair it with ownership. We have to be at cause for our reality rather than being an effect to our circumstances. Our circumstances become distorted when we have beliefs and emotions filtering information. That's all it's doing, is filtering information to prove that what we're thinking and feeling is correct. It's right. It's not to downplay or dismiss our emotions or experiences. The tricky part is usually our emotions aren't warranted or aren't congruent to the experience that we're in today. It's a reflection of our past, because our brain creates memories and it locks onto those memories, and then we evolve trying to predict what's going to happen based on those memories. So if our conditioning is one of stress and fear and pain, then we're always going to be looking out for those things to protect us. So an opportunity may show up as the thing to get us to where we want to be and escape where we are now, but without the proper awareness and the skills and the tools of reframing and frame selection and the being aware of your thoughts and the stories and the beliefs that you have and the values that are, pulling at you one way or another, we stand little chance. And then of course the last thing we're going to do is take ownership. We're going to take accountability for where we are. We're going to make excuses. We're going to say things like, it's not my fault. This isn't fair. Those all could be true. And you can do something about it. This isn't an either or conversation. This is an and conversation. This sucks right now. This is painful. And what can I do about it to avoid it from happening again, or to learn from it and experience something different moving forward? And so the last bit I'll say on this second step of awareness is radical acceptance. The best analogy I can share is one where I learned this from Charlie Swenson from Radical Acceptance. He uses the analogy of, like, you have a basement and there's rats in the basement. You open up the door and you see the rats. Rats aren't fun. So you close the door and you go on your way. Temporarily closing the door and forgetting the rats are there or ignoring the rats are there, it feels good. It helps temporarily, but long term, we know rats, they multiply quickly. They're disgusting. They're going to break things. They're going to chew through things. You could have more problems downstream. So this is the idea of delayed gratification. Can you accept what's going on and work through it from an empowered state, in a curious state, and learn from that and move forward in a way that's going to bring such a greater reward down the line from the pain and suffering you're consciously willing to endure to get to where you want to go. So the second step of being a high performer or increasing your performance in personal and professional life is to become aware and own where you are and have radical acceptance of what you're feeling, and not distract yourself, not ignore, not suppress, not avoid. Accept and take ownership of how you can improve the situation moving forward. And this leads us to the third step, is accepting and believing that life can happen through us. There's the terminology that life happens for us. That's a better step of empowerment. The inverse of that is life happens to me. I'm a victim. All this stuff is happening to me, poor me. What do I do? If you feel that way, this isn't to say that that's not true. This isn't to say you don't feel that way. I would just say that that's not going to help you moving forward. Yes, it's important to fully feel our emotions and our feelings and let that process through it so it doesn't get stuck in us. And we have to take step 1 and 2 to get to this point of life can happen for me, which allows us to get to life happens through me. My decisions, my participation in my life, my choices, my conversations, the people I let around me, the boundaries I set or don't set, all of that is my doing, and it creates my subjective reality that I call my reality. If you don't take this step, there's no right or wrong. I just know that your life will not change. It requires having a curious, growth focused mindset. It requires developing a level of awareness and ownership of that awareness and radically accepting where you are to get to the point where you can believe that life happens through you. Because once you accept all the problems in your life, all the flaws, all the issues and challenges and setbacks and failures as your participation, you take back the power to change your life. That's empowerment 101. It's owning the fact that you're creating this life. And if you don't believe that, you are at the effect of other people that may believe they're creating the life or are also operating in autopilot, living off of fear and scarcity. We know what those two things do. It leads people to doing things they're not proud of that maybe harm other people. The whole point of this is how can you improve your life, your circumstances, and have a greater impact, a positive impact around the people that are in your life that count on you and that you care about and love and you are trying to serve. And as a part of my purpose of serving and empowering people around the world to be able to bridge the gap between their intentions and executing on those intentions, the gap is managing stress. It's navigating the discomfort. And these 3 simple steps can help you do that if you take ownership and believe that these things will help and have the idea of the vision you can see in your mind for your ideal life. Is more probable of you experiencing that if you take radical acceptance and ownership, extreme ownership of where you are and where you want to go, and allow yourself to gain wisdom from all the pain and suffering and turn that into a purpose to move forward in life in a way that's congruent to the way you want to experience and the vision you hold in your mind. At the end of the day, anyone can perform at a high level. Anyone can be a high performer because it's not about outcomes. It's about a mindset. It's about an approach to life. And this is why I love the idea of professional athletes. It's just a mindset. Anyone can be a professional athlete in the mind, in parenting, in business, in art, in whatever it is. It's a mindset. It's a belief structure. It's a psychology framework that you have to believe in if you want to change your life. Because otherwise, you're just living at effect to anything and anyone that's doing whatever they're doing. And then you'll call that fate because that makes sense, because that's just the way my life's supposed to go. Because you have a belief that life happens to you, not for you. So it's my objective, my hope that you can apply these 3 simple steps to improve your life and your performance. And if it does, if anything of this video resonates, let me know down below in the comment section. And if you're interested in learning more about these types of things, you can subscribe to my free weekly tactical newsletter that's 3 minutes or less every week that can help you apply things like this to become a higher performer in your life, wherever that means the most to you, and get more out of life rather than wishing for a better life or saying things like, it must be nice. It all starts in here. I know this because I've been at the lowest places in my life. I come from a very hard working class family. It's a miracle that I got a bike. Of all the things I've been through, and I know I've been privileged in certain areas of my life, and I also know that people worse off than where I started have got over the top, got to the top, have overcome their circumstances, and have inspired other people like myself. And that's my objective, is to inspire you to shift your perspective of how you view yourself and the world around you, and what's important to you and what's possible to take care of those things that are important to you. It all starts with the mind. So let me know if any of this resonated. I got more videos coming out soon, and I'll see you later.